This is the Run Recap.
These massive shoes I got.
Yeah, we're going to talk about those.
So much foam.
We're going to have a conversation about those because
Look at these things.
they're a little ridiculous.
It is completely ridiculous. And then look how much is off the back of these. Look at all that back there. Isn't that weird?
What are they? What are those shoes?
The A6 Nimbus 25s. Still like a cloud.
A6 Nimbus. What's a Nimbus?
Isn't that a type of cloud or something?
Probably.
In Harry Potter, wasn't his broom like a nimbus?
I don't know Harry Potter stuff.
Or a cumulus or something?
A cumulus, well, it's going to...
Something like that.
Cumulus something.
I think it's clouds.
I don't know. I don't know any Harry Potter things, but that makes sense, though.
I went through the books at one point a long time ago, but I don't remember very much.
What's the date today?
It's the 29th.
Oh, it says right there. Oh, man. Why'd you get those shoes?
Well, my previous shoes, previous shoes, I really like the New Balance is my favorite in general, especially because I know which ones I like, so then I just go buy the right ones.
Yeah.
So I like the New Balance 880s.
Yeah.
Are a good amount of cushion without being super tall.
Yeah.
So, because the trouble with the really tall shoes that I found, since I like to run street and trails, is that if you have that tall foam shoe, when you try to pivot, your foot falls off the sole. Like you actually slide over off the sole.
Really?
Yeah. So they just don't have side to side.
With the tall foam ones?
The tall foam ones.
Okay.
And there's a real lack of stability in any kind of pivoting. Mm-hmm. So, so I found those to be like in a straight line were great with, because before that I had the New Balance 1080s because I was having real bad plantar fasciitis from running barefoot.
Okay.
So, especially once we moved and I was doing a lot more trail running. Mm-hmm. So, or not a lot more trail, a lot more pavement running. So because I was running on the pavement so much, then that made it so my feet were just killing me. So like I'd get out of bed and my feet were just kind of curled up and I'd have to stretch them back out. It was horrible.
Well, especially if you're doing that kind of mileage. Like you're putting miles on those.
And I think they were fine when I was doing nice trails. So if it's not rocky and you're on trails a whole bunch, it was a great shoe. Yeah. And when I'm doing more like 3 mile runs. Yeah. But as soon as when my short run became a 6 mile run, then my feet just couldn't take it at all. So anyway, so then I tried to find something to shift out of that and tried a few different things. And those ones solved the problem immediately. My foot pain just completely went away. Yeah. And everything I read on that is that they can cause, if you have poor running form, they can be really, really bad for you. Really? So the trouble is, so let's say you heel strike, right? Mm-hmm. And if you heel strike and you have a ton of foam under there, it encourages the heel strike. Of course. Right? Because then you now can get away with it. But what's actually happening here is now you're hitting even harder to try and find some stability, and then that all that pressure of hitting even harder on your heel is now going up through your knees, and you're actually causing damage in the long run. But if you already have corrected that and you already land on the ball of your foot, then you can handle this extra foam back there because you're not using all this foam on your heel. Okay. So anyway, so what it did really for me is it just let my foot relax, and I could let it spread out a little bit more in the shoe, and because they just weren't taking as much of a beating. So, especially with all pavement running, I found that helped a ton. But then that much foam was too much. So because I'd go on a trail run and I'm just asking to sprain an ankle or something, because it was just you'd literally slide off the shoe. Yeah. So I went with a shorter foam one that still just had that nice foam, but it was a lot shorter than what I was on before, a more traditional running shoe. So did that, and I wore through a couple pairs of those, and then I needed another pair of shoes, and I was in a hurry, and I just didn't want to spend $200 on shoes again. So I was at the Nike outlet store, and they had some for $50 that were more like what I ran in high school. So pretty. So you're just picture a running shoe. That's what this looked like.
Right.
And it was excellent at that 6 mile range. And so in that, and it still wasn't really right for me. Didn't have exactly the right stability in the right places. So I wouldn't have really picked this shoe, but again, it's quarter of the price of what shoes cost. So I was going to put up with that for a bit. So I did that, but I did find that I started to get a lot of foot pain every time I would get, anytime I had to do my longer runs. So I was hitting 10 miles plus, the foot pain was getting pretty bad.
Yeah.
And then I went and bought some trail-specific shoes. Because, again, found a great deal on some. So I got some trail-specific shoes, which is good because I just about broke my toe earlier this year kicking a rock on a trail. So I got a shoe that's actually made to make it so if you kick a rock, you don't break your toe.
Yeah.
So I got a good trail shoe, that was just before the Mount Spokane race because I was real scared of running down those hills with, not proper grip on there and not the right... Anyway, so got the right shoe for that, and that was really helpful. But then, since I figured, okay, I have a trail shoe... Now I need a shoe because I got this half marathon coming up. So I need to put in some high mileage, and my feet are killing me. So I went with a big foam shoe again and tried on a bunch of them. And our local shop at Fleet Feet helped me out a bunch. And, picked out a couple of different ones. And there's some of these, and there's a big range in the big foam shoes. Some of them are really unstable, or maybe they're stable for certain people, or it's just there's a big variety once you start trying them on though. And these ones, it felt like it wanted to propel me forward. It was great for a long stride. Yeah. And it just felt great. They do I look like I'm standing on marshmallows, like a giant marshmallow under my foot.
They're like the Hokas, man. I just can't handle.
It's in that thing. I don't like it either, and yet I totally wear them.
It's just, it seems so counterproductive. It seems like to have such a big foam sole, like your foot's not doing any work. But I guess also I don't do runs that long. My runs are always short, so I'm not putting the mileage. So I guess. But the ultra, like the original ultra runners down in Mexico, like the native South American runners or whatever that do like hundreds.
If we try to get too specific, we're gonna butcher.
Am I saying? Well, you read that book, though.
But there was there are people in the woods that run a whole ton. And
it was somewhere down there.
Yeah, and they strap on old tires.
Yeah.
Onto the bottom of their foot.
And that's it.
Yeah, and then that's what they run, and they run all the time like that.
And they're fine.
But they run in the woods.
It's true. Yeah, they're never on concrete.
And maybe it's not rocky. Because that was the other trouble I had when I was running barefoot is a light heel strike on a rock.
Yeah.
Took me out for a week. Now I can't run.
So how long did you experiment with the barefoot running?
4 years.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah, and so I did just for a couple years. I did just that, the Vibram 5 fingers. So no cushion at all. They weren't even the running version. They were just a version I picked up at Costco, and so the basic one. And I really enjoyed it on the right terrain. So if you had a soft trail, man, there's nothing better than that because you just so much direct input, with your foot and everything. You feel really light. You feel bouncy, especially once you get your foot in shape for it. Yeah. That's just fun. But it did, if you hit a little, so if you're on a kind of a rocky path and you hit a rock wrong, then it was horrible.
So you have to be more aware of your foot placement then? You
got to be very careful with where you're landing, how you're landing, all that stuff, which I think is a really good thing for me. I think it was a really good thing to go through, though, was because then it becomes second nature.
Yeah.
You learn to pay attention to those things. You learn to never land on your heel. And, and I think that was a great thing for me to go through that. Then I switched to a version. Merrell makes a version of a barefoot shoe, so real open toe box. It does have some really rigid cushion so that you can handle hitting a rock.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's just enough so you can, if you hit a rock, it still hurts, but you can keep running.
I think I've had some Merrells at one point back in the day.
Yeah. I liked that shoe a lot.
Why'd you come back, though, from
It was just barefoot? It was the plantar fasciitis.
Yeah.
So I was doing that all the way up until I moved and I started doing a lot more mileage on pavement. And they just didn't work.
Yeah.
So my feet just couldn't take it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. there's probably a way with the right training I probably could.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, because it was just plantar fasciitis that was your issue.
Yep.
Yeah, that's not hard to fix.
So
people say it is, but for anyone listening, it's not. It's really easy. It's very simple. It's very simple to fix.
Well, I couldn't fix it. So
it takes effort. It takes a lot of work. It takes you have to put time into it. But if you know what to do, it's just not that complicated.
I went through about a year of pain with that.
Yeah.
And couldn't sort it out.
Yeah.
And so then switching to these to a really cushioned shoe. I really like them for really high mileage, because you do hit that. It's not at mile 10 when your feet just start aching.
Yeah,
they don't do that.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So, well, if you ever run 10 miles, your feet will ache at the end of those 10 miles.
I can imagine.
Well, you've been running on Ons.
Yeah, I've been wearing Ons for 8 years.
Yeah,
and pretty much the exact same ones. They're very, very minimal drop, a little bit, but not substantial. But they're not a flat. Pretty hard. I feel like it's a hard sole, and I don't know. They're pretty minimal, but they just feel great. I thought they were gimmicky because they're the ones with all those little holes in the sole. And I was at our Fleet Feet in Seattle, and I was looking for some new shoes. I didn't want Nikes anymore, and I saw those. I'm like, those look dumb. They look like a gimmick or something stupid. And the guy's like, oh no, they're really cool. And they only had one shoe, one version before they got popular. And I put them on, and I was walking around the store. I'm like, these feel great. And I haven't worn anything ever since.
The stability, because I've tried on those shoes several times. The stability of them I really like.
Yeah.
And you can use them for more things too. So I assume you work out in them too.
Yeah. So that's the thing, is I don't like having multiple shoes. I don't want a lifting shoe and then a running shoe and then a sprinting shoe. Or I want to put a shoe on and do everything I need to do and be done. And so they work great for that.
Yeah.
It's stiff enough where I can lift heavy weights on them if I have to, and they don't feel washy. But it's soft enough to where I can go run on concrete and not.
Yeah, I really when I tried them on, I really liked them for that. And again, felt like I can pivot in them too. I could do anything in this one shoe. But but it was not, for what I needed at the time, it was not enough cushion.
Yeah.
It was way too rigid for what I needed.
That makes sense.
So, so switch into this. And then these ones, I haven't worn Asics. No, I had bought a pair of Asics a while back. But in high school they were one of the top 3. You had
same thing.
You had Asics, Adidas, and Nike.
Yep.
And then New Balance was not too many people rode. I really liked my New Balances back then too.
Really?
But not many people ran in those.
I didn't run any New Balances in high school.
Yeah, so those 3 were the big ones that I remember being the most popular. And Nikes wouldn't last long enough. So, because back then, you're going through so many shoes, running so much mileage that you're just blowing through shoes. Yeah. And, and so it would get way too expensive. And so Nikes, I found, would look great, and they would run really, really well. They'd feel good and everything. And right around 800 miles, they would blow up on you. So they look normal one day. Yeah. Hit 800 miles, the sole falls off. Yeah. Basically. Yeah. And I was wearing my shoes back then because to try and save on money and stuff. I was wearing them until when the sole was falling off. That's when I get a new shoe.
I think for at least 2 years of high school, my running shoes had duct tape on them.
Yeah.
I think that was more of a money issue at that point than it was anything else. Yeah. Or I don't remember, but just duct taped up. Uh-huh. There were some kids on the track team that I think had a little animosity towards me because I was beating everybody with duct tape on my shoe, all cobbled together.
Well, we can do all these things with, and it gets exciting to get a shoe this helps with this helps with that and everything. Yeah. And it's kind of nice to have all those different things that do that, and having your different thing for a different thing. And that is nice. On the other hand, how much difference does it really make, right? I felt more secure having my trail shoe, right? Yeah. Where I'm not slipping as much and everything. Right. It's not totally necessary. Yeah. It was just that one day I kicked a rock. That would have been nice.
Or it was back when we were snowboarding in high school, I always liked having a kind of a beat up board. Mm-hmm. Outriding everyone with gear that was just shabby and like didn't look like much. It was all nicked up and everything. I think the technology of boards just wasn't that different back then, so it didn't really matter what you had.
It was just a whole bunch of camber.
Right.
Yeah.
And so either it was stiff or not very stiff.
Yeah.
And that was it. And now
I don't think there was much not very stiff either.
Well, it depends how hard you rode.
You had
right?
pretty stiff, and then you had a lot stiffer.
How broken in was your board?
Yeah. If you wanted a loose board, yeah, you had to ride it real hard for a few years.
My option back in the day wasn't very stiff.
Okay.
It was okay. Like, compared to, like, an actually stiff board. Like, you had a Never Summer back then
Yeah.
that was really stiff, and it wasn't stiff compared to that. But I always liked the idea back then of just having, not looking unassuming and being able to outride
For sure.
everybody, you know?
Well, so that goes into, and this is so silly. Okay, so today I ran a 5K Halloween race. Right. So 90% of the people are in costume.
Yeah.
This is not a serious race or anything like that. But, and Sister Nickie, she was in town, and she just mentioned, she was like, I need to run 5K this weekend. I'm like, I think there is a 5K this weekend. Let's go run a 5K this weekend. So found a race. Man, it was frigid, too. It was such a, I don't know, maybe not a great idea. It was fun.
How cold was it? Because you tried to get me to do it, and I looked at the temperatures and the price, and mostly the temperatures, and said not a chance.
I don't know how cold it is when we started, but driving there is 18 degrees.
Oh, God.
So
way too cold.
It was cold. It was really, you wouldn't be able to feel your hands or feet.
Oh, no. It would have been totally numb until we got back home.
Yeah, completely. So, anyway, but as we're pulling up, and like, I love races because I like racing. And so, it's silly. Like, I'm going to a costume party, and like, because I want to race people. You know, that is what I'm doing. And I already know the outcome, you know, because here's what the outcome of these races are. You go to one of these races, there's like 300 people there. So so you got, some people want to walk in costumes, some people want to run in costumes, and other people want to run, right?
Right.
So you have that, and here's what's going to happen is, I'm going to show up, and there's going to be one guy that's like in high school or maybe early college or something like that. Mm-hmm. He's going to run the 5K in like 17 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Then there's going to be some like 12-year-old that's going to also just destroy me.
Yeah.
Right? And he's going to run it in like 19 minutes. And like, okay, maybe I can hang out with him for a little while, right? Because 19 minutes is like, I've done it recently. I can technically do that.
How recently?
2 years.
Okay.
On a treadmill.
Yeah.
But it happened.
It happened.
Which means it can happen.
With 19 what? Like 19?
19 flat.
Okay. All right.
And 19 flat for 5K.
Because I think back when... Because I think we were both we were shooting for 18.
Yeah.
A couple years ago.
Yeah.
And
I'm always shooting for 18.
Of course.
I've been shooting for 18 for a very long time now.
I got down to, during that time, you hit 19 flat, I hit 1920 or something like that. I don't think I ever broke. Maybe I don't know, I have to look at my times. I don't recall breaking 19.
I haven't been under 19 since high school.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I definitely haven't been in the vicinity of 18 since high school. But that's always the goal. It's
right,
always
of course.
like, you know, like I have 3 goals, right? So I have like my goal of I want to run a sub 18 minute 5K. Mm-hmm. I want to run a half marathon at 6:45 pace.
Right.
And I want to run a full marathon under 3 hours.
Okay.
So those are 3 things I want to accomplish before I die. I'm not in a hurry, but I want those to happen. The trouble is as I get older, they're going to get harder.
Yeah.
But I want to do those 3 things.
Yeah, of course.
So anyway, so that's what I'm always kind of pushing for. So anyway, so these races always are like that. You know, you get those. And so when you pull up in the parking lot, you're just looking around at like, okay, well, you know, you just look at how short people's shorts are. I'm like, okay, well, that's going to be a guy to try and beat, right? The shorter the shorts, the faster the guy.
That is such an indication of how serious of a distance runner you are.
Very much so.
Especially considering temperature.
Yeah.
If you're, like, let's say under 45 degrees, you know, so it's not freezing yet, it's not snow, but it's cold.
Yeah.
And you have someone with a slit all the way up to the waistband, you're not touching them.
Yeah.
They're gone.
And he might be 60.
And it doesn't matter the age.
It's still going to destroy you. The higher the slit, the older you are, is what I've noticed.
So the more modern runners, they're not doing the
so the college students and high schoolers now are going like leggings, short leggings.
That's right.
That's really, really common now.
Because I'm sure that makes a huge difference.
Well, you know, air resistance, right?
The little bit of flap from that tiny little bit of fabric just slows you down.
That being said, I got some higher slit shorts this year.
Yeah.
On a hot day, it's so much better.
I can imagine.
It cools you off way better.
I can't get on board with the spandex thing.
So,
like leggings when you're cold.
Yeah.
Yes.
But spandex when it's hot.
Just spandex and when you're working out, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
Anyway.
When it's cold, though, I really like it.
Well, of course, yeah.
So that's what I wore today is, I wore, some compression leggings that were not warm because I know I'm going to get warm. And so I was frozen at the start, of course.
Yeah.
And, So
you're eyeing these kids.
So I'm eyeing these kids. One kid, full on Prefontaine outfit. Like, completely. It was amazing. I wanted to ask him where he got his clothes because it was so cool.
Like a costume.
We can call it that.
Okay.
But it's real running gear. So he has. Well, first of all, he's 10. Okay,
yeah.
So it's a short kid. And everything, and has blonde flowy hair.
Yeah.
And has an Oregon tank top.
Okay.
And green, and like the bright yellow Oregon tank top, and it says Oregon right, it's the real thing. And then is wearing the green Oregon shorts. And so I'm like, well, that 10-year-old's gonna win, like he's gonna beat me. Oh, it's full on, like looked like a mini pre.
And I love how many people would appreciate that nod.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like even
I said go pre when I went by him.
Even runners, how many runners would get that? I mean, if you're a serious runner, I feel like you're going to know who Prefontaine is, but like the amount of people at that type of race who are just like, oh, it's a fun Halloween run. Who knew that kid is channeling Prefontaine?
Well, to make this race even funnier, so I'm going out to be competitive in a 5K, but there's also a 10K happening, and a half marathon. Okay, which means the real runners are doing those, of course. So I'm competing against people that they're not there to be competitive, like that's not, but
the 10-year-old.
The 10-year-old, yes, I'm going to try and beat that darn 10-year-old, but I'm not going to try and beat the college student that wanted to run 5K because that's what he runs, No, he's going to be way up there. Yeah. Not even going to try. The 10-year-old, I'm going to try and stay in contact at least and see what I can do, and really try not to get beat by the 50-year-old guy pushing his son in a wheelchair.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. But it was so like full race wheelchair style. Okay. But the kid in it couldn't do that. It was that style. And then this guy was ripped. I mean, he was in great shape, and he's 10 years older than me. Yeah. And man, leg muscles on this guy. Got a view of him for a while.
Did you? He's obviously does this.
He does this
a lot.
He races with his kid.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so as we're in the parking lot, Nickie and I are both like sizing people up, and Nickie is too, and Nickie's also like, she's not going to be near the front, but she runs, she runs right around right now. She's doing right around 10-minute pace. Yeah. But same thing, she loves the competition. We like the same thing. She likes racing. Yeah. So she's just going to pick out a person, like okay, that person. Okay, I'm gonna try and beat that person by this point. Okay, I got that. Okay, now see if I get that person. So it's the same thing, and I love that it's like. Doesn't matter how fast you're going. We all get that same. If you want to be competitive, races give you that opportunity to go out and be competitive with somebody. Yeah. So we're both doing the exact same thing in the parking lot, getting nervous of like, who do I got to beat? And I really want to be in the top 3 because I always like being in the top 3. And Nickie's picking out like, okay, I think that lady, she's quite a bit older than me. I think I got her. And not recognizing that older lady though, had the sunglasses on. Oh. That you knew she's fast.
If you're going sunglasses, you know something's up.
And like the racing specific sunglasses, like oh no, you missed that part. Yeah. No, she's gonna be up there.
Yeah, if they're like general Ray-Bans or funny sunglasses, doesn't matter. Right. But like specific ones that are tight to your head, like back in the day, they would have been like those Oakley Spider or whatever ones.
Yeah, the eye jackets.
The eye jackets, right? That's what it was. Yeah,
or the ones that now the Pit Vipers now copying. Old, but remember the old ones, and then now they have those big huge ones that they have that are kind of Pit Viper style. I don't remember what I don't know. Well, everybody makes different ones. Those big huge ones. Guy with those shows up again. He's going to be near the front.
Right, of course.
And then but this lady was in her 60s and had like the 60-year-old version of that. Oh, so they're smaller, framed just across the top, and then it has the glass underneath that's like yellow tinted. Yeah. And like, no, these are her running specific sunglasses. She's gonna be quick, you know. So anyway, so we're just like eyeing people's gear and stuff and doing the exact same thing. Like, who do we got to beat where, and kind of sandbagging ourselves at the same time. Like, oh, I think these 10 kids all have like a uniform on. I think they're all going to beat me, you know?
Yeah.
And they're all up to my waist.
Right.
You know? And, so, anyway, so we tried to warm up, but we were horrible. I'm so bad at warming up.
Nickie's got a routine, though.
I followed her routine a little bit.
She was taking me through it last night, and about how her mindset shift from doing, like, treating the first part of the run as a warm-up to block, like on training at least, the blocking out, like, oh, my run might only take 30 minutes, but my quote-unquote run is an hour or 50 minutes or whatever, because I do this and I do a cool down or whatever. So.
I will be a much better runner if I ever actually start doing that.
Yeah.
It will help.
Yeah. Warming up's helpful.
Yeah. I just don't. Like, I feel silly. Like, I don't know. I need a routine. I need to do what Nickie did. And so
you really do because of the cold.
Right.
Because you don't want to just go.
Yeah.
That's how old man injuries happen. That's how you pop an Achilles, or, you know, like, oh, that's scary.
So that was our plan. We're going to get there early enough to where we're going to do this warm-up. But then we got there early enough, and it was really cold out. We didn't want to get out of the car. So we drove around for a little while instead. And then we got out, and we did do a little bit of her routine, which had like a lot of mobility movement and stuff. And that was good, but it was also so cold that we probably also need to really run to get our body temperature up. And we did just a little bit. And then we went to my warm-up routine, which is bouncing a couple times before they start. Doing some real good jumps just right off the calf muscle, you know?
Yeah, it's great. Just cold, just jumping.
Yeah.
Cold, great.
I just do like 4 or 5 of them, and then, you know, maybe, and then if they're delaying the race a little bit, I might do 4 or 5 more, you know?
Well, I mean, if you do over 10, you're going to get tired.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then I'm not going to be able to race at all. And it's not even going to work.
I was thinking through what I would do if I was at the race, and I would need to run for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I would need to get out and jog for at least 20 minutes just to get my core temperature up before the race.
So that probably would have helped.
Yeah.
So in this race, I kind of thought that I could, because I was thinking like, okay, I ran a half marathon at this pace, you know, so where I ran a 6:30 and then ran like low 7s for the first couple miles, and then I was like 7:30ish or so, and then and I had a 10K that also went pretty similar to where like, yeah, you know, like under 7s, and I've kind of been in that vicinity for a while. We were able to run right around there. So I thought, you know, if I really push this, and it's a super easy course, so if I really push this, I think I can just run 6:30 pace, maybe a little bit under for the whole thing.
Okay, yeah.
That's totally reasonable and everything. So anyway, so I took off. A lot of people that I thought were going to be faster than me were not, so I had to get around a bunch of people and get up there, and then I ran with the guy that's pushing his kid on the, you know, I ran with him for a little while. I passed him, but not quickly. And so got by him, and then I'm just in third place running by myself, because then, you know, that 10 or 12-year-old that's in front of me, he's pulling away.
Yeah.
The guy in front that's running in 17 minutes, I haven't seen him in a while now.
Yeah.
You know, he's just gone. So anyway, so I'm cruising along doing that and feeling really good, just like stretched out, really, really good. Hit the 1 mile mark, and I think either my GPS is off or that 1 mile mark was not in the right spot. But my watch said I hit at that 1 mile mark. Look at my watch. I was at 6 minutes flat.
Wow.
Later, my GPS said I ran the first mile in 6:30. So
what's that?
So maybe it was in the wrong spot or something like that. Because I don't think I was doing 6 flat pace.
That's quick from a cold start on the pace you've been running.
And I was moving quick, and I was breathing harder than I wanted to be, only a mile in.
Right.
But so maybe I was there. I think I was more like 6:30 though.
Yeah.
So I was there, and then like, okay, well, I feel pretty good. I'm breathing real hard, but this is a short race, so it doesn't matter. I can breathe real hard this whole time, right? So I'm, you know, heart rate's up and everything.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just gonna stick with this. So tried to stick with it, and then like another quarter mile later, all of a sudden, like my legs are just feeling just stiff.
Yeah.
And like that nice fluid long stride that I had, it was just had a nice launch off my toes and everything, and like just felt great. All of a sudden, like I was like, oh, my stride's getting a lot shorter. Like cadence staying the same. This is not the stride I had a few minutes ago, you know, and it just kept getting shorter and shorter. And there's nothing in the course to make it hard. Like it had my GPS said that I did 7 feet of elevation.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's my kind of run.
Right.
That's perfect.
There were some ups and downs, you know, when you like come off the sidewalk and go back on. Some pretty good hills right there.
When you're tired, those are the worst.
Do you notice when you're tired, the slant because sidewalks are always slanted towards the road, barely.
Yeah.
And do you notice how much more tired your right leg gets than your left?
No.
When you're real tired?
I've never noticed that.
It gets me real bad.
Yeah.
I don't think it's real.
Elise has commented on it. Back when we would run it together a bit, she would comment on that it drive her nuts. When there's a certain path, if you go from Ballard to Golden Gardens in Seattle, where it does dip slightly, and it's noticeable. It's obviously there. It's a walking path, and it slightly leans one way, and it drives her nuts. Can't handle it. I don't even notice. I can see it that it's there. I don't notice at all. But man, when you're tired and you go down to cross a street and you have to pick up onto the sidewalks.
Especially if it doesn't have the smooth up. We actually have to get over a curb.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Not the smooth up, but you have to step onto the curb.
You kind of got to jump a little bit.
Oh, that's rough when you're tired.
I'll plan ahead, like 3 steps ahead. Like you can jump, you can do this. But don't just put your foot on there and lift up from there. You need to change elevation before you land. So I'm gonna jump a little bit,
But also, is it going through your head of don't break stride?
Oh yeah,
because you have to do it, get up on there, and that's a feat in itself. But also, you cannot break your cadence.
Right. Well, and you have to then do the jump to do that. That is like the other point. Exactly. The same thing. Because if I set my foot and I step up, I lose cadence.
Right.
No. So I have to change elevation before I hit the curb and land at that elevation, which means I need a burst of energy from that darn calf muscle that's beat right now.
Oh man.
And yeah, that is hilarious. That's so many things like that because you're just sitting by yourself for so long.
Yeah.
That you think that like, oh, this is probably just me, right?
Yeah,
because it's just me out here all by myself.
Yeah.
Like everyone else deals with these same things.
Yes, always.
So anyway, so got out, and this is an out and back 5K, which makes it even easier, right? So it's just.
But you hate out and backs.
I do hate them, but also it's just 1.5 miles twice.
That's true.
Which is super easy.
Yeah.
Have you seen those things going around online right now they call it girl math with running, but I don't know. I think all runners do this, where we start calculating things as we're going. Mm-hmm. So a 5K out and back is way easier because I just got to run 1.5 miles twice. So I can run 1.5 miles real fast. 1 mile is only 5 minutes, right? 1.5 miles is a minute more than that. So I'm just going to run back and forth for a couple minutes.
It's the logic that you and I use forever.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, obviously, it's not even. Yeah. Now that it's out and back, it's only half.
Right.
Yeah. And then I'll just get that done. Now let's do it again.
It's a mile.
I just did it.
It's a mile warm up. It's a half mile to the turnaround.
Yeah.
It's a half mile to get your pace back up. So you have to run a mile.
Yeah, it's just a mile run. Yeah. And then a mile's 5 minutes, right?
5 minutes.
Miles are always 5 minutes.
That's it. It's nothing.
So anyway, of course that is the math I have done in my head. So I get out, I get the 1 mile mark. I'm like, oh, the turnaround's like right around the corner. Yeah. Which actually half mile's not far. Mm-hmm. So it is actually right around the corner.
Yeah.
So get around that and come back, and I missed the 2 mile mark. I just didn't see it. Mm-hmm. So let's go along. I'm like, well, I must have passed it now. I think I'm basically back. Then the darn guy pushing the stroller passes me.
Oh no!
I'm like, oh shoot. Okay, well, I don't know what I can do now. So I'm like, okay, do you got any more energy? Can you get this up? Like, so I lengthened my stride, got it up there. Like, at least stick with the guy,
Yeah.
So I did stick with him, but that was with like a 1/4 mile left or whatever. Yeah. And then it's all done.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, he was in a different category.
Okay.
So I still got 3rd.
Okay.
Because of that. So,
3rd overall?
Yeah, 3rd overall.
Yeah. Did Mini Pre beat you?
Yeah. No, Mini Pre did not beat me.
Oh, wow.
He should have, though.
Really?
He was not far. Well, just because you're dressed like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. If he passed me, I would not assume that I could catch him.
Yeah.
Like, if that happened, well, clearly he's faster than me.
Obviously.
Yeah. I'm not even going to try.
Look at that get up.
I must be pushing too hard if I'm around this guy that just passed me. So.
Oh my god.
No, I was seriously jealous of his clothes, though. I need that
awesome.
setup. Yeah.
It's so fun.
I'll need to get a lot faster before I can wear it.
Yeah.
But that'll be that's more than slit all the way up. Like, that's...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got to be quick to wear that gear.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's like wearing, certain things, like a pink hat snowboarding.
Yep. Yeah.
You need to be riding a certain level.
When you wear your pink hat, you have to go upside down now.
I at least once.
Yep.
It might be in a tumble form, but...
Count it.
Go upside down at least one time.
When you tumbled through that tree...
Oh, my gosh.
You almost landed it.
Kinda.
Yeah.
I mean, and then I land on my head.
It was kind of a cork... No, you didn't almost land it.
No, I land on my head.
Yeah. Never mind.
If I had a slightly more air,
you could have come around.
I would have almost landed it.
Because you were actually buried, weren't you?
I thought I could. What's funny about that one is I thought I could split the trees. I thought I could jump. I was going off the cat track through the trees, and there's like this little hole. I thought I could jump between the tree, and it was gonna be great. And right when I went off my board, I think I jumped off my toes and not flat. And so I jumped off my toes, so my board kicked back slightly and caught the tree.
The other piece that I watched happen, and I've watched that in slow motion countless times because it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And I repost it every time it comes up in my memories.
Oh, of course.
Because it's just my favorite. But no, sometimes little branches are really grabby.
They really are.
And so branches that sometimes you blast right through branches and it's nothing.
Yeah.
Other times they can grab your snowboard and flip you. And that's what I think I saw happen was you went through, the slot was there. It was real.
Yeah.
These little branches were little branches. And I think they were more grabby.
Yeah, and so you think they just kind of pushed my board to one side?
I think so.
Yeah, because I tried it twice.
Yep.
And the same thing happened.
It didn't go better.
It was almost the exact same fall, 2 times, tumble, land on my head.
Because the next time, like, well, just get the gap better. You got it.
Right.
Yeah.
It was so clearly there.
Yes, it was absolutely there.
So frustrating.
Yeah, I really wanted that same one, and after you doing that, I was glad I didn't do that.
Yeah, it's probably a good decision.
I'll tail tap one.
Because if the snow was any less deep, it would have hurt.
Yeah.
It didn't hurt, but it should have.
Well, not a bad day. Well, you never know when it's going to, too.
Right.
Yeah. Because after you did it, then I noticed, like, oh, the snow's really nice. Maybe I'll be up. I'm like, well, I don't want to land in the hole you just made.
Exactly.
Because that'll hurt. Because now it's not soft there anymore.
Exactly. Oh man. So how did Nickie do on the run?
She did great. Her running's been off and on. Well, she had a lot of injuries to deal with and a lot of stuff going on over the last year because she was real consistent for a long time. And then she's had a lot of difficult things to deal with over the last year or so. So as she's been dealing with that stuff, so it was just nice for her to just get back, run with people because it's been so long since she's gotten to do that.
Yeah.
So no, she felt real good with it. She knew she'd be right around 30 minutes. She was right around 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Exactly what she wanted. And she was dressed right and everything.
That's
and
good.
Everything hit just right for her.
Yeah.
And it was a beautiful race. It was right along Lake Coeur d'Alene.
Oh, and it was a nice day too. It was so
Luckily
sunny.
the sun was out. It might have been snowing on us. That would have been rough.
I heard that there was a chance of that.
I would have worn more clothes probably.
Yeah.
But
it's so cold.
Yeah, because it was real cold. But it was beautiful.
Yeah.
So this race was so short, I forgot to start my music. I got it all set up. I carry my phone, so I use my GPS and my watch for to get my distances because my phone's GPS has just been screwed up so much lately. I use my watch now instead for that. And then the music through my watch is really inconsistent, so I don't do that. So then I carry my phone just for music.
Yeah.
So here I carried my phone the whole time, in a pouch, of course. But still, it's just extra weight, and I'd rather not have it. And wore my headphones.
Yeah.
And never hit play. and I was thinking, like, man, I was about on the way back, and I had just passed the turn. I'm like, why is this really hard? Like it's just like I came out here, we're just like, I'm just gonna go run 3 miles.
Yeah.
And here I literally ran it at the same pace that I ran my half marathon in.
Right.
And I mean maybe 10 seconds faster,
yeah.
but like barely faster than a half marathon. And on an easier course.
Mm-hmm.
And I ran it at the same pace that I run 10Ks in.
Yeah.
Like every time. And so this is way shorter, super easy course. Why am I going the exact same pace? And why is it hard?
Yeah.
I should not be breathing this hard right now. And I'm breathing really hard. And then and even at the end, like I don't have faster speeds than there's not another gear here right now. I just don't have it.
Yeah.
And just completely silly. Like why did that not exist right there?
That's so funny.
No, it was just and where I expected like I should be able to drop a lot of time on this.
Yeah.
Compared to that. No, I just ran what I run. This is what I run.
You need a different watch. You need a watch that does stuff.
I need a proper watch. Yeah, because I do not have a running watch, which means that my GPS is actually, I think out and backs usually really freak it out.
Yeah.
Where it thinks maybe I ran a lot further, or maybe I didn't, maybe I ran somewhere else. It has no idea. And this one it didn't. I compared my distance that it showed to Nickie's because she has a proper running watch.
Right.
And we were dead on. So
I'm always doing the math, even though my GPS is usually pretty good. I'm always doing the math of where I'm at during my run, even though I run like the same loop all the time.
Yeah.
Because I start at just slightly different parts. Like I might start 100 or 200 meters earlier, or I might start across the street this time, or I might want a better time, so I'll jog up to the crosswalk and then start once I cross the crosswalk. And so it's always a matter of, I know roughly where the half mile is, I turn around, right? My turnaround is always the same spot when I'm coming back. And when can I look at my watch to see how far I have left?
Okay.
Like, so I'm looking at landmarks like, okay, maybe at that street sign I can look. But then if it's too early, if I'm like, okay, do I have half a mile left, 3/4 mile left, whatever it is, and I look at the sign and it's more than what I thought, it's so discouraging.
Okay.
Because then I have to go even further. My energy consumption is so low. I'm like, oh my God. Like so many times I've hit the sign, I'm like, oh, I got half a mile left. That's usually where half a mile is. But because I started a different spot, I hit it and I'm like, oh, I'm only at 240.
That's funny.
I'm not at 250 yet. I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta run so far now.
It's 0.1 of a mile difference.
It makes a huge difference though. I can stop here or I have to stop there.
I mean, it's a difference of like a block.
Yeah.
I mean, that's right about a block.
Yeah.
So.
And when you're done, when you're like at the end of a race or end of a run, you're just spent. What are you gonna get? What would you prefer to get to run with?
Oh, I mean, everyone just says I need to get a Garmin.
Yeah.
Right.
Of course.
Like, that's just
it's the best.
Everyone uses it. It is the best. It actually has a button to start and stop, and I'm like, pull up the app.
Like on the side, you just go hit.
Yeah. And on mine, I actually have especially if someone sends me a text while running, then it takes the app off of the main screen.
And just push.
So then I have to
again.
go and find the app, start open the app again, and then hit my stop button. And, but luckily, what I have started to do, just because you can crop your runs on Strava.
Right.
So I just don't stop it at the finish line anymore.
Yeah.
I get through the finish line, warm down,
go back in,
walk for a little bit, then I pull it up and stop it. But it isn't then helping me during the run very much because, again, if I get a text, I'm not going to then sit, especially on a 5. Today, I looked at my watch. I'm like, oh shoot, it left the screen. Yeah. Now I don't know how fast I'm going.
You need your arms a lot on a shorter race.
And I have a half mile left.
Right.
Okay, I'm not going to stop. I don't have to stop, but I could be running, but I'm not going to then change my pace up while I'm trying to find the app, open the app.
Right.
I'm not going to do all that.
No.
So no, I'm already going as fast as I can anyway. Yeah. I don't need any more information.
Exactly.
I don't need to look at this and be like, oh, not as fast as I was hoping to go.
Yeah.
But I can't do anything about it. So.
Do you actually hear your music when you run?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
When I'm really running hard and I'm listening to music and I'm pushing my pace, I don't hear it.
Okay.
I mean, it's there, but I notice I'm just hearing my breath. And that's it. Well, it's a bummer because I want to hear it. That's why I played it. And then I specifically want to hear this record or these couple songs, and I'm like, oh right, that song's playing. I'll get back into it every now and then. Yeah. So if I'm running hard, I just don't listen to music.
What style of music do you listen to and run?
It's mood dependent. It's what am I in the mood for that time, and what's the run?
If you're okay, how about a hard? You're going for a PR. Yeah. What kind of music then?
If I'm going for a PR, I'm not going to listen to music.
Oh really?
No, because I'm not going to hear it. It's just going to be pulling me in and out. I'm going to hear my breath more than anything else.
Interesting.
If I'm running hard, it's all breath. It's just listening to my footsteps, listening to my breath, and that's it.
But I understand that for other things. When I used to wrestle, I couldn't hear anything. Yeah. Right. I don't get that running.
When I'm doing something else, if I'm doing the stairs at the gym, or I'm doing the row machine. Right now we have a challenge at the gym that's a couple different exercises, but one of them is a 500 meter row. How fast can you go 500 meters? And I wasn't going to do it this year because I've done it and it destroys me and I don't care to do that again. But a couple of clients put up some numbers and I'm like, okay, well, let's give them something to push for. Because I know no one in the gym is going to beat their time. Mm-hmm. So let's give them a challenge, And for that, I put on music. It's, you're going a minute and a half. Mm-hmm. That's it. But I put on music just to tune out the gym. Mm-hmm. Just to noise cancel, get rid of the gym. I'm not going to hear the music I'm listening to, but just to get it out there. So for runs, it depends. Sometimes I'll listen to just old Circa Survive or records. Not even old ones, but like a band like that. Or I'll listen to, it's whatever's downloaded on my watch. So I download stuff on my watch.
Right.
And I haven't changed it in probably 3 years. Mm-hmm. So it's whatever's there. And it's not that many records. Yeah. Like, some of them are my records that I've recorded with other bands, and some of them are, I think I have some hip-hop on there. But it's just, there's no playlist. It's just whatever album I want to hear. Mm-hmm. And I just go through that.
Okay.
But you have a specific, like, race mix.
My race mix is the same, currently, is the same as my snowboard mix, too.
Oh, interesting.
And so my snowboard mix was like, well, now it's considered old school hip hop.
Yeah, right.
It's not actual old school hip hop.
Yeah.
It's from early 2000s.
Right.
So, like yesterday.
It's still 20
years
ago.
stuff that came out yesterday, you know.
Right, yeah, right.
So that's
brand new.
But that was my playlist on there. And I remade my playlist from my old, what were those? Remember the teeny iPod? The iPod Shuffle.
Oh, yeah.
I had an iPod Shuffle.
Yep.
I had that mix, and I remade that same mix to listen to. So I've been listening to the same music for 23 years snowboarding.
Yeah.
And, so that's what I was using for a little bit running. And then, but then I do also like to, if it's going to be like a longer, slower run or anything like that where I'm not really pushing, then I really like listening to the more poppy 90s grunge. So not really grunge, but they kind of call it that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that stuff, just the stuff that was like popular when I was in high school. Yeah. It's nostalgic for me. I'm on a run listening to music that I listened to when I used to run a bunch, So I enjoy it. It's not even bands that I really liked.
Yeah.
But I like that mix while running just because it's nostalgic and it's just, it gets my brain just to like relax and just, enjoy myself.
Didn't you talk about, though, that you have a playlist that's supposed to like for specific like dopamine hits or something?
I do. So yes. So I have those different things, and again, I do the silent thing a lot. I do the podcast thing a lot, and so those are all those things there. But when I want to boost it up, what I was doing for a little bit was very aggressive music. It might be like some Rage Against the Machine stuff, or some or have you heard NF at all?
Yes. Yeah. Like he's a rapper, right?
Yeah, rapper.
Yes.
But very, very intense, aggressive stuff.
Yeah.
The trouble with that stuff, I had to stop doing that.
Yeah.
Because when you fail, and in your head is someone telling you to like go harder or whatever, basically, and then you're like, well, I guess I'm just a loser all around. But you're at like mile 4 on those, like I'm on a 6-mile run. I took off maybe too fast or whatever. I'm on mile 4 on this hill or whatever, and now I'm walking.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just done. I can't do this anymore. I hate this. What am I even doing here? I'm going to walk home. Do I need to call someone to pick me up now? Like, there's those, I've had those runs over the last couple of years sometimes. Yeah. And in your headphones is someone yelling at you.
Right.
And like, when you're doing awesome, that awesome music is great. As soon as you're doing awesome, and then awesome goes away, and then it's still yelling at you, now you're just being berated.
Yeah.
So I had to stop that. So now I have, like, it's newer, happy rap music. So, like, have you heard Connor Price at all?
No, I haven't.
So I heard his stuff. I'll show it to you later. But I heard his stuff. He got famous, like, TikTok stuff.
Yeah.
And anyway, but his stuff is just, it's upbeat, it's fun, it's good rap, and it's got a great beat to run to. Most of his stuff is.
Yeah.
And then I basically just, like, started searching for other artists that are similar to him.
Yeah.
And so found other things like that and made a whole playlist that's just upbeat, happy rap, really good rhythms. Makes me really happy to listen to. Yeah. You just fall into that and you're just having a good time. Yeah. And so it does that. Instead of having that aggressive dopamine hit, it's a happy dopamine hit.
Yeah.
It's not like, it's not, I'm going to go out there because I'm going to be awesome, even though I'm a piece of crap, but I'm going to show the world that maybe I'm not a piece of crap,
Which is very 90s hip-hop, I feel like.
Right, yeah. So you have
90s and early 2000s
you're
hip-hop.
Like, I'm awesome, but maybe I'm not awesome. No one thinks I'm awesome. I'm going to show them I'm awesome, I'm like, that does not fit with anything going on in me anymore. Like, I have trouble listening to that stuff. Like, I don't feel any of that, you know? I'm just kind of out here trying to have a good time. Yeah. And, like, so when I'm being aggressive, it's more like, I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm like, and this is a great beat. No, I feel smooth, and all that. And so I did make a playlist. I made one. I found enough songs that are all similar to last an hour and a half, so it works for my whole half marathon time. Yeah. And, that's what I do. And today would have been really good to have, like, some happiness go through my head instead of, like, why does it hurt so bad? What's happening to me? Like, this shouldn't hurt this bad. I'm not going that fast.
Yeah.
And I'm not going very far at all.
Yeah.
Why am I in so much pain?
Oh, man, that cold weather, though.
I think, I'm not acclimated yet.
Well, no, because it just got cold.
Yeah.
Like, suddenly.
It snapped.
It was like mid-40s last week, right?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah, we're hitting highs our highs are getting a little above freezing, and our lows are getting in the teens.
Yeah.
And then I was paddleboarding in 80-degree weather last weekend.
Oh, it got that hot last weekend?
Was it last week or the one before that? Might have been 2 weekends ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 2 weekends ago. 2 weekends ago, I was paddleboarding in 80-degree weather.
Yeah, I think your hot day over here hit like 2 days after ours did.
Yeah.
Because when you posted that and you're like, oh, on the paddleboard, like last sunny day or last warm day,
yeah.
I'm like, it's like 55 here.
Right.
What is going on the other side of the state?
No, I'm swimming in the river. Like, it was great. It was it was summer. And then it was like, nope, done.
That's wild.
So
are you listening to lyrics?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
So it's just beats and rhythms, and that's what you're hearing, but you're not hearing any actual like lyric content when you're running.
No, and I really in some of the more aggressive stuff will do that. Those lyrics will get in my head.
They'll come through.
Yeah, and so then it's nice to have something where it's like, nah, not even a little bit. Yeah, it's just the beat, the music, the rhythm of the person rapping, their voice, all of that stuff is just the feel of the whole thing. Right. I don't care what they're talking about. Right. I don't even know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's how I am with music always. I never know what lyrics are happening or what anybody's saying.
Right.
It's just the rhythm and feel. But see, when I'm running, when I have a hard run or a long run, I often want music that will be a little more down. And not. I've never gone to the like if it's a higher tempo song or it's a more aggressive song that doesn't. I've never noticed that motivate me like subconsciously or consciously. I always want something that's a little bit more toned down.
Sure.
On a run.
So I tried doing something similar to that. I always have trouble in the fall because I get sad in the fall. It's really hard.
Well, most people get sad during the winter. You get sad during the fall.
In the fall, it's rough for me. Well, the days get shorter, so then it's like I have less to look forward to, know? And it's just, and you're kind of watching everything around you die, And I'm not acclimated to the cold yet. And once I get acclimated to the cold, I love the cold. I'm acclimated. When I'm not, it's like, again, I was paddleboarding 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Now I'm frozen, Like, that just happened there. And now there's less fun things to do because it hasn't snowed yet. So now... running's not fun. I mean, nothing's fun.
Running's not fun in the cold.
When it's cold and it hasn't snowed yet, nothing's fun. So, anyway, I struggle with that anyway. But then I've gone through periods of my life where I think, okay, I'm going to lean into this. Yeah. Because it's going to be this like, how do I even say it? I don't even know how to say this. Maybe it's like, maybe I just need to like really be a part of the fall. Right. Right? So it has this whole thing to it. So I'm going to embrace this thing. And I'm just going to really be a part of this. Yeah. Right? And I've done it a couple different ways, and they've always gone bad. And they've always gone bad. So one of them, 1 year I turned off all music for like a month and a half. Yeah. And I'm just going to really be in a part of everything that's happening. I got really, really sad, and it wasn't very good. And then, then a couple years ago, I thought, we got these. It's pretty fall colors, even though I don't really like it very much, but still pretty fall colors. Yeah. And all of that. And but what really fits this mood is really good classical music. It can really fit this mood. So I put on some good classical while I'd run, and then all of a sudden, running did not anymore help my life or my brain or anything. And we're like, I'm feeling a little down. I think I'll go for a run. And put on some soothing classical music. I go for a run. I come back. I'm like, I think I'm a little sadder now. Yeah. This is worse, actually.
That's funny.
Yeah. Like, no, that doesn't work. It'd be better to have no music than that. Yeah. And there is this time of year where, like, in the summer, I can go through those, staggering out with when dopamine hits and everything. Mm-hmm. Not this time of year. No. I need music. I need stuff. I need to boost that. Yeah. Constantly.
You need something to stimulate you during the run.
Yep. I need that. And then ideally I have a trip to go somewhere warm, which I do have this year. Yeah. So
that's good.
I head to St. George in 2 weeks. Yeah. So I get down some 80-degree weather out in the desert, and the sun will be up for longer. I'll do that for a week. I'm going to do that, and I come right back into snowboarding. Yeah. So that'll be good to just like...
It's like you're prepped for snowboarding.
Yeah.
Get out of the fall and the leaves and the cold for...
And if you can do it for a week, it feels like you got to skip it. Yeah. And so when we first discovered that, Christy and I went to Hawaii 6 years ago in October.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was summer. Got
a
little cold. Went to Hawaii. It was great. Came back. Had all my meetings getting ready to snowboard instruct and all that stuff. So you're just excited about snowboarding. And now I'm snowboarding.
Yeah.
And like fall didn't even happen that year. You know, I only left for a week, but it felt like fall literally didn't happen.
Yeah.
And anyway, so that's what we try to somehow figure out how to pull something like that off every year if we can.
Yeah. I haven't done that in a long time. So the fall and winter in Seattle just kind of suck because they just get cold and there's no snow.
Yeah, the trouble with living in Seattle is it's always fall.
Pretty much.
Like, except for that really pretty day in the summer.
The summer, dude, it's been changing though. The summers in Seattle are getting hot.
You have had some heat.
They're getting hot and they're getting longer.
Yeah.
Really surprisingly. Which makes them a lot more fun. We'll get, it's kind of similar to you guys. We were hot up in the 80s 2 weeks ago.
Right.
You know, for a second. Which is October now.
And when it is sunny and nice over there, it is one of the best places on earth.
It's great.
Like, it is so beautiful.
I like the climate over there a lot, except for the snow. There's no snow.
Yeah.
We'll get a little bit, and that's it. It's just boring.
Yeah. It's boring. It gets gloomy.
Wintertime, well, and there's no sun either. I mean, that sucks too. Is like we don't over here. You at least get the cold and it's sunny, and you get the snow and it's sunny, and things happen and the sun comes out. Over there, things happen and the sun doesn't come out.
The other part too, though, is the sun does not actually come out very often here. But if you spend the winter going to the mountain all the time, the sun's out on the mountain.
It's true.
We get socked in down in town, and you got to get above that. Yeah. And as soon as you do, I mean, there's so many days where it's like 25, 30 degrees, something like that in town, and you're socked in fog. Yeah. I go up to the mountain, and the sun's just beating on you. Yeah. And you get that relief from that, you know, and even like get a little goggle tan in January. And that's so helpful to have that.
The first sunny day, like coming out, warm sunny day in the spring in Seattle is such a release. You're like, oh, right. Yeah. This is a good thing.
I think it feels so good to us because you go through the times when you don't have it. Yeah. Like the harsh seasons on both ends make it so then you appreciate everything except for fall because it's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with that. You can't skateboard, you can't snowboard, running is terrible.
There are people over here that love fall. I don't understand it. There are people that do.
I enjoy a week of fall.
On that pretty fall day?
Or a weekend. Last weekend in Seattle, it was a perfect fall day. It was about 50 degrees. It was cold without being like a chill. Yeah. It was sunny. The leaves were falling. We walked around Ballard and got some tea, and it was great. And I'm done with it now.
Yeah, now let's move on.
Now let's snow.
I saw the pretty leaves.
Yeah.
Now let's stop it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree completely. I like one fall day.
Yeah, and that's really it. That's all you need.
So you should probably travel. So I could just go somewhere to see those leaves and then leave.
Yeah.
But then I wouldn't do that either. It's not that good.
It's not that good. Do you have any races coming up?
I don't think.
Do you have any plans for anything like spring or?
No, I'll probably do the half marathon in April.
Yeah.
Just like I did this year because it was just fun. Fun to do it. But it's kind of like this where it's a really cold start. Yeah. And but it was I really enjoyed it last year. So it's the split half marathon. Mm-hmm. And so.
What do you mean split half marathon?
Well, so Negative Split is the company that runs most of our races.
Oh, okay.
And so they have the whole timing set up. And so whether or not it's their race, companies usually races will hire them to basically handle all the infrastructure.
Okay.
So they have a really nice timing system. It's really accurate and then even to where you know your chip time immediately.
Wow.
So I go through. So today I got through the race. Yeah. Shut off my watch. I'm like, oh, let's see how I actually did. Mm-hmm. Pulled it, and so I went to their website, found my name. Yeah. And it said my time.
It's right there. Wow.
Yeah. And it had my average per mile. Sometimes there's even speed traps throughout it, so it'll tell you like you did this section, this speed, this section. Oh, most of them are not, but some of them can even do that. Yeah. And the way they run races, which is actually our cousin owns that. So
who?
So Ryan. So Kyle's.
Oh yeah.
Kyle's stepbrother.
Yeah, Ryan. Yeah.
Oh, I should know. I'm drawing a blank right now.
Bernie.
Height.
There
we go.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Ryan, and he does an awesome job with this stuff. And I know it looks like they do a lot of races around the area too, like over in Portland too. They do quite a few as well. But the organization of any races that he's a part of are so good.
That's cool.
And so they often cost a little extra.
Yeah.
But you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
Like it's
that's
really,
awesome.
Yeah. So that stuff, even like the organization of how to start, the finish, where you're supposed to be and win, all the trail markings and stuff are all really, really good.
Yeah.
I've never gotten lost on one of his races.
Yeah.
So, anyway, yeah, no, it's excellent. And then they always have like fun medals and stuff and all that. And so, and the other thing, the main thing I look forward to in these races, so not only just racing people is fun,
right?
But the other thing is if you win your age group, you get a pint glass.
Oh, really?
And so, and race shirts are hit and miss. Like, so there are a few race shirts I'll wear. But for the most part, I don't wear race shirts afterwards because they usually don't fit right. It's just kind of not. Or the graphics is something like, this looks weird. I don't want to wear this.
Yeah.
So race shirts are hit and miss if I ever wear them again.
Mm-hmm.
Medals, surprisingly, I actually really like getting a medal.
Do you?
It's so fun. I shouldn't. Like, the idea of when I heard about them first before I got back into racing was like, so everyone gets one, so who cares, right?
Yeah.
And then, but they make a lot of them are really artistic, really cool.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, this is actually really that's a cool thing to collect.
Yeah.
So I actually really enjoy it.
Oh,
and then
I can see that.
And then if you make the top 3, you get a different medal too. So
okay.
So they do have then another, first, second, third finisher too.
Okay.
So you get all of that, and if you win your age group, you get a pint glass.
Yeah.
Sometimes with a graphic of the race on it, and so I've been collecting pint glasses.
Yeah.
And so when I do these, like some of the added pressure for me is like I have to perform well because I want that darn glass. And I'll see a guy that looks around my age past me like, crap, no, I got to beat this guy. I want the pint glass.
It's motivating then. That's
it totally
good.
is. Yeah, it totally works for me.
That's awesome. Dude, I don't know if you said what was your time.
21 and change.
That's not too bad.
It's just, man, I thought I could be under 20.
Yeah.
I really thought...
You underestimated the temperature effect.
I'm still underestimating the temperature effect.
Yeah, just like walking to the car and stuff?
Yeah, still, or even just looking back on the race.
Yeah.
Like, no, I just kind of sucked at that.
Yeah.
It wasn't the cold.
You didn't warm up.
It was me. That was the problem.
Well, I mean...
I don't need to warm up. I never warm up. I don't need to warm
up. You didn't warm up, and it was the coldest it's been, and the coldest run you've done in a long time.
Yeah. Warm up, real seriously, I probably could have knocked a minute off.
Of course you could have.
With a warm, because that 6:30 pace that I started at, I think I could have held.
Yeah.
And instead 6:30, and then I was just sub 7 for the rest of it.
But there is also how the cold affects the lungs the first time.
It hurt
when you're not acclimated. Like that was one of my worries about. I'd already written it off mostly, but like when I was thinking about doing it, I'm like, but my lungs are not ready for that cold weather.
I'd only had one cold day run before this.
Yeah, I haven't had any.
To where it's so cold that where you feel that real burn.
Right.
And it was that where, man, it feels like you have that cold. Like I don't know, I was tasting blood today. I don't think that was real. You know what I mean?
It might have been.
Because when I was spitting, I didn't see any red or anything.
Well, but it doesn't matter. Your lungs can produce they might swell because they're pumping so hard.
Uh-huh.
They don't. I don't know how to phrase this right. They don't fill up with blood, but they can excrete blood to a small extent.
Yeah,
so you might taste copper because of this. So so it's not uncommon.
Yeah, because I'm doing that. I'm like, I feel like I'm shredding my lungs.
Yeah,
and now I'm tasting blood, so I'm literally shredding my lungs. So, all right, well,
they're working harder than they typically work.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon for people who never ever run and have really poor lung capacity. When they try to run, they will taste blood and sometimes spit blood.
Okay,
and it's not for the most part, it's not a problem. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's just their lungs are so out of shape that's what happens when they're working.
And you always feel that same thing. It's when the cold hits. It doesn't matter what shape you're in.
No.
Now I got to get in shape for the cold.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I definitely experienced a lot of that today. But yeah, I think with a proper warm up, probably would have been there. Man, I didn't want to though. No part of me wanted to do that. And I should have just gotten away from the whole group of people because it was a lot. It was a 300 person. 300 people ran just the 5K.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was
that's
a ton of people and a lot of costumes.
Yeah,
yeah.
So you're dodging wings and hats and capes.
Because it's an out and back. Yeah. Actually, it did get a little dicey at times.
Really?
Yeah, because you had to run by all the people still running out.
Yeah.
Right. And so you are getting around people, and then and it's a lot of people in costumes with strollers and all this stuff, Yeah, they're doing the fun run version of this.
Right.
And I'm trying to get around it through things and stuff. And it's not like it didn't actually slow me down, but I just have to pick my path.
Right,
so,
right. That's funny.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And running on the river with like the steam coming off the river, the sun was on it.
I mean, I bet it was so pretty.
It was really, really beautiful. Yeah. And if I had my darn music going, I could probably get out of my head a little more and enjoyed it a little more.
That's so funny. What is your training plan or workouts look like coming for snowboarding? Now that like the racing and the running is like, I mean, obviously you're not done running, but you know, there's no intention.
I think right now, what I want to do is probably keep my running at like 2 days a week.
Yeah.
And then really focus on a lot more lifting.
Yeah.
Right now. So it's always important to me right now to like try and beef up a little bit so I can take a hit a little bit better.
Yeah.
So I haven't found that to actually be useful in my life in really when I'm trying to just get tough enough to be able to take a hit.
Yeah. Because
then I take a hit and I break. You know, like it didn't matter that like, oh, I got bigger muscles than last time I took this same hit. No, I broke just the same way. You know? So,
but in your head it does.
In my head it does, and I do think that added, explosive strength helps a ton with, getting out of weird situations. Or just powering through stuff where this, the ground's not very smooth and stuff because it's snow.
Yeah, being strong for snowboarding is super important.
And I love when I can jump high.
Yeah.
Like that makes such a big difference when I can.
Yeah.
So the focus will be box jumps.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of them. One-footed box jumps I found really, really useful.
They're very helpful.
So I'll do that and then and then get back on doing all my squat variations, all that stuff. And then I've already been doing a pretty good upper body routine, but I'll probably get that a little more consistent since the focus will shift.
You should incorporate, these are super fun, because I'm also in kind of jump training right now too. And what a really fun one-off exercise is doing weighted squat jumps, like dumbbells or kettlebells just at your side like a suitcase.
Okay.
And doing like, if you're doing jumps and you're not trained for endurance specifically, you want to keep like reps down and like reset every time a lot of times.
Yeah.
And so do like 8 squat jumps. So squat down, jump up, land, and then reset so it's not continuous. And then go right into a suitcase squat 2 box jump.
Okay.
So you have your dumbbells, they're on the ground, you squat down, pick them up, do a squat, set them down, and from that squatted position, when you release the dumbbell, you go into a box jump.
Nice.
So you're loading the muscle and then exploding it with no weight.
Well, and helping with that, I do find in snowboarding when I've worked on mobility over the last couple of years, and when I can go, as far as your flexed body, so pressured all the way down to fully extended, I like to use a 0 to a 10. So 0 meaning my butt is on my ankles. And if I can get all the way down there and a full extension, and I have that full range of motion with power, all of a sudden I can survive a lot more stuff. Yeah. I don't fall down as easily. And the amount of power I get out of some stuff is so much more fun.
Well, you're training your full range of motion, which means even if you're taking a landing from a snowboard and it's a harder landing than expected, you can squat it out.
Yeah, you can land
get
all the way down.
Yeah.
You can sit down
and
then stand up.
Yeah.
And it's been so useful and that's just been the last couple of years that really getting that range of motion down has helped a ton.
That and the single leg stuff is huge for snowboard training. But specifically like weighted and unweighted jumping is really good.
Well, so here's the other part too that I noticed when years ago I did a bunch of box jumps and did a bunch of box jumps with my snowboard on. So then what I got out of that though was then my retraction. So when you jump, so you have the power of jumping off the ground with the weight, but then sucking your legs up in the air, it causes you to be able to be in the air for a lot longer, plan out your landing a lot better and all that. And so, so I don't have, first of all, it's a pain to go outside, strap your snowboard on, and then jump on some tires, and then unstrap, and then you get tired in 45 seconds. And now I got to unstrap my snowboard, and then I got to put it back away, and I go back inside. So you're doing all this work.
It doesn't need to be that complicated.
It is for a 45-second workout.
No, it doesn't. There's so many simpler ways to do that.
So, well, that's what I want to know is like, because that's the only way I've found to do this, to have the proper weight on my legs to where I can actually do this thing, is to actually put my darn snowboard on. Yeah. Which takes forever. I got to get it down to the basement. I can't leave it. I have a family, so I can't leave it in the living room like I'd like to.
Right.
So
I know families they want like a living room setup.
I know, and they got like their things.
Terrible. So, a way to train what you're talking about, because what you're talking about training is your core and your hip flexors.
Yeah, they gotta be a pull up.
Yeah, exactly. So real simple. Go to a. You don't need to mimic the jump. You just need to get those things strong.
Okay.
Because the jump aspect of it, the jump is the push off. Once you're airborne, the pull up can be imitated in any way.
Okay.
So you need to go to if they have ankle weights at the bar, like at the gym, like old school, just Velcro strap on ankle weights, and you just go to hang from a bar, go to a dip bar, and just knee ups.
Okay.
Knees to your chest.
Would you do it now? Does it moving?
Or you do box jumps with those and pull them up. Like, that'll add extra pressure.
Does pulling them up faster, does that work the muscle different than pulling them up slower?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, you need both.
Okay.
Or another alternative, if you don't have ankle straps, is you go to, this is a good just core exercise, you go to a dip bar and you just hold on a dip bar. So you're not doing any dips, and you just grab a dumbbell between your feet.
Okay.
And you just pull it up. That way you can do as much weight as you want.
Sure, okay.
And you can do fast, you can do slow.
I've done that before.
Yeah, it's a great core exercise and really good for the hips. So that way you don't have to go strap on your snowboard every single time.
Well, the final piece of this then is now the something that I think has an advantage, and you let me know, I might be totally wrong.
Yeah.
But strapped into your snowboard, in your snowboard stance, is going to work the muscles a little bit different, right?
Yes. Yeah, it will. Mm-hmm.
So should I mimic that too? Should I do wide stance box jumps then in order to mimic that, so I'm working the muscles the right way? Because I think doing the one-footed stuff kind of made it so I didn't have to do that as much, but I'm not sure if I was feeling that right.
I don't think you need to. Mm-hmm. Like, it will train them slightly different, but I don't think in such a way that you're going to be that noticeable. Okay. I think getting the explosive training is going to be much better than... it's all about convenience, right?
Sure.
So while that might be helpful, you can't do it.
Yeah.
So you're going to get the benefit from just doing...
Or is it helpful enough to go through the hassle of, again, strapping my snowboard on?
It's not helpful enough.
Which I'm not going to do.
I don't think so at all. So. I think because that wide stance jumping is not an ideal jumping position. Mm-hmm. It's too wide. Sure. You always jump from feet under your hips. Mm-hmm. Like, you want to be in that position because that's where you have the most leverage and it's most efficient. And so I don't think... I mean, the single leg stuff covers your bases. Okay. And gets you squared away.
I kind of thought that might get... Yeah, because it works the whole thing all around enough. Yeah. To where that would do it. Where with both legs at the same time, there's a lot of stability. You're cheating a lot with using different legs and stuff.
What you do want to do is make sure your squat variations have a wide stance. Okay. Let me rephrase. Not that your squats have a wide stance. Some of your squat variations have a wide stance. Mm-hmm. You don't want to exclusively do like a narrow squat. You want to make sure you do a wide sumo squat and a deep wide sumo squat, or just a wide stance squat. It's not quite a sumo. You know, to make sure you have that variation of stance.
Which I found I'm significantly stronger in a sumo squat stance.
Why do you? I have a suspicion of why that is.
Oh, my guess is just stability memory from snowboarding.
Could be.
I think that's mostly it. Is my body falls into that. I also, as I'm watching myself in the mirror, definitely cheat by going over my right leg instead of my left leg. Yeah. Like I'll go down and then watch my hip shift and lift. Yeah. And so
depending upon how wide you are, you also just don't have to go as deep.
Oh,
which is why people like them.
Right.
Like, it's why people like sumo deadlifts, because your range of motion is so limited that it's like, you're cutting off half of the lift. Right. That's not a diss on sumo deadlifts, to be fair, but they are easier in a lot of ways. But also, what that also is doing is just pointing out your imbalances. So you don't have the hip mobility for a narrow stance, which is why it's harder. Yeah. And so the wide one is easier to do.
Yeah, it's significantly less weight.
Yeah.
Like, it's not close.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. As soon as I widened my stance out, I stood like I'm in my snowboard. Yeah. And then did it. I even put my feet at the proper degrees.
And also, I'm sure a lot of that is just from the memory of snowboarding.
Yeah, I did that, and the weight I could lift was so much different. Yeah. I went up a lot from there. Yeah. And we kept adding more weight, and it was equally hard. Yeah. And then it was straight out of, remember Unbreakable? Yep. I've had that experience twice. Really? Where you're like, oh, that's really hard, and then add more weight. Yeah. oh, that's really hard.
Yeah.
And you just keep adding more weight.
Yeah.
It's the exact same amount of hard. How did I add 150 pounds?
Yeah.
And it felt exactly the same. Like it's still just as hard, and I can still do it.
Yeah.
And
people experience that a lot. It's because they don't know they're finding out what their capacity actually is.
Yeah.
They don't know it.
I had that do with butterflies a long time ago.
Yeah.
We did that, and then I noticed it as soon as I moved my stance out and when doing squats a year ago.
You're like, I can do more weight.
Well, no, I didn't think I could though. That's the thing. You're like, that's really tough. Let's try a little more.
Yeah.
And it's like, but it felt exactly the same.
Yeah.
Okay, how about more? And we just kept stacking more on.
Yeah.
And it still wasn't that much. I can't squat that much.
Right,
Still compared to people to squat, it's still a very insignificant amount of weight.
But for what you were expecting.
But from where I started,
Yeah.
that was hard.
Yeah.
Then to where I ended up, that was also still hard.
Still hard.
It was like twice the weight that I started
Yeah.
at. Like it was a major percentage difference.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's hilarious. I don't think I've ever experienced quite that. Do we gotta get out of here?
Yeah, we should probably get moving.
Okay, let's bounce.
Cool.